Welcome back. Today, we are stepping into what I think is, well, it's one of those beautiful and, frankly, most misunderstood concepts in this whole field.
Hmm.
We're looking at the visible world, the one you see and
Hmm.
touch and pay taxes in. And we're asking a pretty strange question.
A really fundamental one.
Yeah, what actually holds this whole thing up? I mean, is it steel and concrete? Is it laws and gravity? Or is it something else?
It's one of those questions that it feels like physics,
Right, like something tangible.
Exactly, but it's really metaphysics. And for James Allen, the author we've been following, his answer is, well, it's pretty provocative. He argues that the visible world is sustained, fed, and shaped entirely by the invisible world.
That is such a radical idea. We're on episode 6 of our series on James Allen's book, As a Man Thinketh, and this chapter is called Visions and Ideals.
And he doesn't ease into it.
No, he really doesn't. He opens with a line that, I have to be honest, it sounds a little bit like a greeting card at first.
I know the one.
It's the kind of thing you'd scroll past and maybe roll your eyes at until you actually stop and think about what he's saying. He writes, "The dreamers are the saviors of the world."
It's a bold opening. And I get the skepticism. I really do.
Oh, for sure. Because before we go any further, I have to clarify something. When I hear dreamers, my mind immediately goes to someone spacing out in a meeting.
Right. Daydreaming.
Or, someone who refuses to get a job because they're working on their art, but they never actually produce any art.
Yeah.
It feels like escapism. But that is not what Allen is talking about here.
That is not at all. Not in the slightest. He is not talking about daydreaming to avoid doing the laundry or, looking at that spreadsheet.
Okay.
When he says dreamers, he's using the word in a very specific, almost architectural sense. He calls them the architects of the afterworld. He means the people who hold the internal blueprint for a reality that doesn't exist yet.
The architects of the afterworld. Wow. That phrase gives me chills every time.
It should. It's weighty. And that's really the core theme for us today. Your internal mental blueprint, what Allen calls your vision. It's not just a nice picture you look at to feel better.
Right.
It is the prophecy of your future reality. We're talking about the transition from passive wishing, which we all do,
All the time.
to active identity building.
I love that distinction. Passive wishing versus active identity building. Because I think most of us, myself included, we get stuck in the passive wishing. We wish we were fitter or wealthier or calmer. But Allen is suggesting a completely different mechanism. And look, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how to actually do that, how to build that identity without it feeling like you're just, faking it. But before we dive in, just a small request.
Of course.
If this episode helps you, please hit like and subscribe for the next one.
It really does help us keep these conversations going.
It does. So let's get into this core concept. The chapter is called Visions and Ideals. Now, in plain English, I would probably use those words interchangeably.
Most people would.
I might say, my vision is to be rich, or my ideal is to be rich. But for Allen, are these synonyms, or is there a functional difference?
They're related, definitely, but they are not the same thing. And understanding the difference is, I think, crucial if you want to actually apply this stuff.
Okay, break it down for us.
So think of vision as the long-term destination. It's the inner picture you return to when the world gets noisy. Allen uses this beautiful metaphor. He says, the oak sleeps in the acorn.
The oak sleeps in the acorn. Let's unpack that, because biologically, that's fascinating.
Right. If you hold an acorn in your hand, it doesn't look like a tree. It looks like a nut.
Yeah, it's just a little brown thing.
And if you cut it open, you don't find a tiny little wooden tree inside. You find genetic material, you find mush. But the pattern for the oak, the potential for the massive roots, the bark, the leaves, all of it is encoded in that seed.
So the vision is that encoding.
That's it. It's the promise of what you shall one day be. It's the latent potential.
Okay, so the vision is the acorn. It's the potential. So what's the ideal?
The ideal is the standard you choose to live by right now, today, in order to water that acorn. If the vision is the destination, the ideal is the compass you hold in your hand. Allen calls it the waking angel stirring within the soul. It's the character trait, the standard of excellence, the way of being that you adopt immediately.
I see. So to make this really concrete, I might have a vision of being, say, a calm, wise leader who runs a massive, impactful company.
Okay.
That's the oak tree. That's the destination. But I can't be that CEO today because, well, I don't have the company yet.
Exactly. You can't be the CEO of the future today. But
I can embody the ideal of patience today.
yes,
I can embody the ideal of decisive action today.
that's it. The ideal is the behavior you adopt on a Tuesday morning. You can't force the oak tree to just pop out of the ground, but you can choose to water the soil.
And Alan's argument is that if you maintain the ideal, the vision just inevitably follows.
It's cause and effect, a one-to-one relationship.
This brings us to a concept that gets thrown around a lot, and we really need to address it carefully. The law of attraction.
Yes, the big one.
Usually when people talk about this, it's very woo. It's think about a Ferrari and it appears in your driveway. It feels magical. But Alan's take is very different, isn't it?
Completely different. And this is where so many people get tripped up. Alan writes, you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are.
Oof, that's a hard pill to swallow. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are.
It is deeply confronting. He says, you will always gravitate toward that which you secretly most love. And notice that word, secretly.
Secretly.
We all say we want success or fitness or a happy relationship. Those are our public wants, our press releases. But Alan is saying the universe doesn't respond to your press release.
It responds to your internal frequency.
Yes. It responds to where your mind goes when you are alone, when no one is watching.
Okay, so let's play this out. If I say I want to be healthy, that's my public want. But secretly, my mind constantly gravitates toward comfort and lethargy. And I have a deep secret love for avoiding discomfort.
Then you will attract circumstances that mirror that lethargy. It's not magic, it's psychology, it's biology. If your secret love is comfort, your subconscious will spot every opportunity to sit down.
And it will completely miss every opportunity to get up and move.
It filters your reality. You attract what you are because your attention is filtered by your identity.
That reminds me of Marcus Aurelius, the
Right.
Stoic philosopher. He had that line about the soul being dyed by thoughts.
Exactly. The soul is dyed by the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are constantly anxious or cynical or lazy, your soul, your character, it takes on that color.
And the world treats you according to that color.
Right. If you're dyed with cynicism, you will find a reason to be cynical, even in paradise.
So this isn't about sitting on a couch and manifesting $1 million. It's about fundamentally changing the dye of your character so you become the kind of person who naturally generates that result.
Correct. And that brings us to the biggest trap in this entire discussion.
Okay.
The difference between having a vision and just having a fantasy.
Oh, this is huge. Because I think a lot of people read books like this and they think, okay, I just need to dream big. But there's a trap there.
A massive trap. And modern psychology actually backs this up. There's a researcher, Gabrielle Odington, who's done fascinating work on this. She calls it indulging.
Indulging, like eating chocolate cake, but mentally.
That's a perfect way to put it. She found that when people spend a lot of time just fantasizing about a positive future, imagining getting the job, crossing the finish line.
Getting the applause.
Right. Their blood pressure actually drops. They feel relaxed. They feel accomplished.
That sounds good, though. Stress reduction.
It feels good in the moment. But here's the problem. The brain gets tricked. It thinks you've already achieved the goal.
Oh, no.
So it stops generating the energy you need to actually do the work. It takes its foot off the gas. Fantasy separates the outcome from the effort. It is an escape.
So you're sitting there dreaming of the beach body. Your brain goes, that feels nice. And then you have zero motivation to go to the gym because you just got the dopamine hit for free.
Precisely. Fantasy asks, what do I get? It's about consumption. The ideal, though, it's completely different. The ideal asks, who must I become?
Who must I become? That sounds like work.
It is work. An ideal demands alignment. It isn't an escape, it's a standard. If your ideal is to be a writer, you don't just fantasize about signing books. You align your Tuesday morning with the act of writing, even when it is hard.
Alan talks about the sacrifice of confused animal thoughts.
Yes, you have to sacrifice the easy pleasure of the fantasy to do the hard work of the ideal.
That connects back to the Stoics again. They talked about the ruling part of the mind.
The hegemonicon, the ruling faculty. It's about keeping your hands firmly on the helm of thought. Fantasy is taking your hands off the wheel and letting the current drift you wherever it feels nice.
And the ideal is gripping the wheel and steering into the waves because that's where you need to go.
That's it, exactly.
Okay, so we know the difference. Fantasy is, I want the prize. Ideal is, I will do the practice. So how do we actually build this? If I want to stop drifting and start steering, what's the first step?
Well, based on Alan's work, we can break this down into a sort of three-step method.
All right, lay it on us. Step one.
Step one, choose a clean ideal.
A clean ideal. What does clean mean in this context?
It means singular, focused, uncluttered. Alan says you should make your purpose the centralizing point of your thoughts.
So you can't have 5 different conflicting ideals.
No. You can't try to be a ruthless, cutthroat shark in business and a gentle, patient saint at home at the same time, at least not without creating massive internal friction. You need a coherent vision.
It's like trying to drive north and south simultaneously. You just tear the car apart.
Exactly. Alan says cherish your visions. Treat that high mental state as a precious object. If you have a vision of being a person of integrity, you hold that in your mind like a diamond. You don't let it get scratched up by petty gossip or small lies. You protect it.
Okay, so I've chosen my clean ideal. Let's say it's courage. I want to be a courageous person. What's step 2?
Step 2 is rehearse daily without hype.
Without hype. That's interesting. Usually self-help is all about the hype. Pump yourself up, you can do it.
Hype is an emotion. And emotions are weather, they change, identity is geology, it's supposed to stay. You want this to be rock solid.
Okay.
And this connects beautifully to James Clear's work on identity-based habits.
Oh, from Atomic Habits. Love that book.
It's the same principle. Clear says that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. It isn't about hyping yourself up in the mirror, it's about repeated beingness.
Repeated beingness.
Right.
Like that.
Yes. If your ideal is courage, you don't need to go fight a dragon today. You just need to have that one difficult conversation you've been avoiding. That is a vote for courage. And if you do that today and tomorrow and the next day, you aren't just acting courageous, you are courageous.
You're attracting what you are.
Exactly. It's the difference between a mood and a routine. A mood is fleeting. A routine is, well, it's who you are.
And that leads us to the hardest step. Step 3, the integrity piece. Why is this the hardest one?
Because this is where the sacrifice happens. Alan is very, very clear on this. You cannot keep a noble ideal while feeding a base pattern.
Oof. The house divided concept.
Right. Imagine you're trying to build that ideal of health. You go to the gym, you drink your water, but secretly at night you're binge eating junk food and telling yourself it doesn't count.
You're feeding 2 opposing masters?
And as the saying goes, a house divided against itself cannot stand, it collapses. Alan writes, "He who would accomplish little needs sacrifice little. He who would achieve much must sacrifice much." The sacrifice he's talking about, it isn't usually money or time, it's the sacrifice of the base desire.
The easy way out.
The comfort, the laziness, the petty anger, the secret resentments. You have to clear that space to make room for the pure aspiration.
This is really the crucial point then. You can't just add the good stuff on top of the bad stuff. You actually have to excavate the bad stuff.
You do. You have to stop feeding the contradictions. If you want a clear mind, you have to sacrifice the doom scrolling. You can't have both.
That is so practical. Okay, let's make this even more concrete. Can we run through some specific examples like work, relationships, and habits, and see how this shift from fantasy to ideal actually looks?
Absolutely. Let's start with work.
Okay.
In the workplace, the fantasy is usually outcome-focused. I want a promotion, I want a raise, I want to be the boss. It's that I want mindset.
Vanity ideal.
The ideal is the craftsman mindset. The shift is from I want a promotion to I am a craftsman.
I am a craftsman.
Yes. If you adopt that ideal, you stop looking for shortcuts. You stop trying to play office politics to get ahead. Instead, you focus on what Alan calls the faultless performance of duty. You focus on skill, on craft, on character.
And the irony, of course, is that the person who focuses on the craft
It's usually the one who gets the promotion.
Exactly.
That's the law of attraction in action. You attract what you are. If you are excellent, excellence finds you.
But if you just want the reward without the character, you might get it temporarily, but you won't keep it.
You won't.
Okay, let's do relationships. This is a big one. So many people have a fantasy about relationships.
The fantasy is, I want to be loved. I want someone to understand me. I want them to make me happy. It's entirely passive. You're waiting for something external to change.
And the ideal would be?
The ideal is, I am a person of high standards and kindness.
That's a huge shift. It puts all responsibility back on you.
Completely. Love, in this context, isn't a feeling you get from someone. It's a standard of honesty and consistency that you bring to the relationship.
So you don't demand the other person be perfect.
No. You demand that you be kind. You demand that you be honest. You bring the ideal to the relationship instead of demanding it from them.
That changes everything. It stops you from being a victim of your partner's mood.
Exactly. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the temperature.
I love that. Okay, third example. Habits. We touched on this with health, but let's go deeper.
The fantasy in habits is relying on motivation. I'll work out when I feel energized. All right, when I feel inspired, it treats the habit as a mood.
And we all know moods are fickle.
Terribly fickle. The ideal treats the habit as an identity. I'm an athlete. An athlete trains whether it's raining or sunny.
An athlete trains whether they feel like it or not.
Right. The noble thought crystallizes into a habit of temperance. It moves from, I should do this, to, this is just what I do.
It becomes boring in a good way.
Yeah.
It becomes routine. I want to pause here because I can hear people listening and thinking, okay, this sounds great, but why is it so hard? Why do I keep failing at this? And Alan actually outlines some very specific mistakes we make.
He does, and they're mistakes of perception just as much as they are of action.
The first one is definitely my personal nemesis. Impatience.
Oh, everyone's nemesis. Impatience is just a misunderstanding of nature. We want the oak tree 5 minutes after we plant the acorn.
But Alan says the oak sleeps in the acorn.
It sleeps. It implies a process, a slow awakening, a gradual growth. The fix for impatience is to trust the process of the seed. You don't scream at a seed to grow faster. You water it. You wait. You protect it.
And the growth happens on its own timeline, not yours.
That's it. It's hard in a world of same-day delivery, I know. But character is not an Amazon package. It is a tree.
The second mistake is one I see a lot. Separating the vision from the task.
Yes, the I'm too good for this trap. You have a vision of being a great leader, but right now your job is answering customer support emails, and you resent the emails because you think they're beneath your vision.
I'm a visionary. Why am I plunging this toilet?
Right. But Alan tells this story about a youth in a workshop. He's poor, unschooled, doing hard labor, but he uses that meanest task, the lowly work, as the workshop for his highest ideal.
So he learns discipline from the scrubbing.
He learns focus from the manual labor. The fix is to realize that the meanest task is actually the gym where you build the mental muscle for the vision. If you can't be great at the small things, you aren't ready for the big things.
Okay, mistake number 3, ignoring the contradictions. We touched on this with the house divided.
This is the ostrich strategy. You just bury your head in the sand about your bad habits. You visualize success all morning, but you ignore the fact that you're rude to your spouse every evening.
You can't build a skyscraper on a swamp.
No. The fix is just brutal honesty. You have to identify the base patterns you're still feeding, and you have to stop.
Mistake number 4, waiting for external change. I'll be happy when I get the raise. I'll be calm when the kids move out.
Alan's rule here is absolute. You cannot travel within and stand still without.
Wait, unpack that for me. You cannot travel within and stand still without.
It means that if you genuinely change your internal landscape, if you really travel within to a new state of mind, the outer world must change. It's impossible for it not to.
But the reverse is true too.
Exactly. If you're standing still internally, if you haven't changed your mind, you can move to a new city, get a new job, a new partner, and your life will look exactly the same in 6 months.
Because you brought yourself with you.
You brought yourself with you, change the inner, and the outer must follow.
And the final mistake, thinking it's magic.
Yeah, we touched on this. Thinking that just visualizing it makes it happen, the secret trap. Alan is so grounded. He says, law, not confusion, is the dominating principle. It's cause and effect. It's physics. You plant a seed of thought, you water it with action. You get a tree, a circumstance. If you don't plant or you don't water, you don't get the tree.
It's not magic, it's agriculture.
It's agriculture. I love that.
That makes it feel so manageable. I can farm. I can't do magic tricks, but I can farm.
We can all farm.
So let's do some farming right now. We've put together a guided exercise. We're calling it the Ideal Clarification Reset. And we want you, listening, to do this with us. You can do it mentally or pause and grab a piece of paper.
This is about taking these concepts out of the clouds and putting them right into your Tuesday.
Okay, first, name one ideal you want to embody. Just one. Don't try to fix your whole list. Pick one thing. Patience, courage, clarity, kindness.
Got it. Good. Now, next. Describe the person who lives that ideal in plain language. No fancy words. What does this person actually do? So if your ideal is patience, the description might be, this person pauses before speaking.
Or if it's courage, this person speaks up even when their voice shakes.
Exactly. Make it a behavior.
Next, identify the smallest daily action that proves the ideal, the absolute smallest.
This is so key. Don't say, I'll meditate for an hour. Say, I will take one single breath before answering the phone.
Or, I'll put my running shoes by the door.
Heine, cast one vote.
Okay. Next, identify one contradiction you must stop feeding. What's the weed in your garden?
If your ideal is clarity, maybe the contradiction is doom scrolling at night. If your ideal is health, maybe it's that mid-afternoon sugary snack. You have to name it.
Next up, write a simple inner script you'll repeat today. A little mantra.
Keep it short. I am the architect of my peace. I am a craftsman. I do not rush.
And finally, do one aligned action immediately after this discussion ends.
Not tomorrow. Immediately.
Right.
Send the text. Do the one push-up. Close the browser tab. Prove to yourself right now that the ideal is real.
That is the work. It's simple, but it is not easy.
It's the work of a lifetime.
Before we wrap up, I just want to recap what we've covered today, because we've gone from the acorn to the architect. It's been a lot.
Yeah, let's boil it down.
First, Alan's core point is that we gravitate toward what we secretly love. Not what we say we want, but what we internally dwell on.
Next. Vision is the inner picture. Ideal is the lived standard. One's the destination, the other's the compass.
Next. Fantasy escapes effort, while an ideal demands alignment. Don't just indulge, do the work.
Next. We have to choose a clean ideal and rehearse it without hype. Routine over mood. Every time.
Next. We must remove the contradictions that feed our base patterns. You cannot have a house divided.
Next. Our work, our relationships, our habits. Those are the fields where we plant these seeds. They are not distractions from our spiritual life. They are the practice ground.
And finally, we cannot travel within and stand still without. The outer life will shift to match the inner. Trust the law.
That's the roadmap.
It is. And next time, we are heading into the final chapter of this book. We've built the thought, we've planted the seed, we've envisioned the ideal. Now we get to talk about the ultimate crown of character.
Episode 7 is on serenity. It's about that calm, poised, and powerful mind that, well, that nothing can disturb. It's the destination we've been aiming for all along.
You do not want to miss that one. It's my favorite chapter in the whole book. Thanks for being here. If you want the full series, check the playlist, and please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
See you then.